conference on my behalf and stops halfway through his presentation, mid-sentence, just abruptly stops. He just says, I can't continue. Please, you've got to pray for my friend from New Zealand. He's dying. Now, they said I looked dreadful. I probably looked like Gina looked that terrible day last year when she turned up at the meeting. Just that kind of pale, sweaty sheen, gaunt, thin. I was a walking bag of bones. And well, the conference organiser, he nearly had a fit. You've got to understand something. This was a Methodist ministers' conference. These were like conservative Methodists, you know. You know, this was, and this guy's going, oh, all right, okay, all you people who are into this praying, laying hands on the sick, I guess we better pray for our brother from New Zealand. And I think we discovered who the closet charismatics were. You see, 6 of them got out of their pews and kind of snuck over and all very self-conscious gathered around and began to pray for me. But as they did, something right outside their paradigm of understanding began to happen. It started in the back row and people just began to weep. You just went row after row after row, and suddenly you had 600 men and women ministers just all crying and weeping before God. For me, it was like I had taken hold of an electric fence. This power was just surging through me, this electricity just surging through me, and I remember kind of this power surging through me, and I remember thinking, stop jerking, you jerk. Get a grip of yourself, you know, you're making a fool of yourself. And this power surging through me, and I remember collapsing on the ground. I don't remember much else, but for 4.5 hours, God literally took over a Methodist ministers' conference. When it had finished, there was a hush in the place. Everybody was thinking, whoa, what was that all about? And those who had gathered around me to pray for me, they could hear something and they got all kind of excited. Then one idiot went and got a microphone and they actually put it against my stomach. So over the speakers now, everybody could hear what those who had gathered around me could hear, because you could hear this, and you could hear my stomach kind of gurgling and churgling, and they were going, oh, can you hear that? Can you hear that? And I kind of staggered to my feet and I'm going, oh, no, you don't understand. It can't do that. I don't have a stomach. It can't rumble. You know, but I'm experiencing something that if you don't get out of my way, I'm going to eat your arms off. I'm starving. And I was experiencing a phenomenon that you would take for granted. You know, your tummy's empty, your body releases gastric acid, rumble, I'm hungry, I need to eat. I had not experienced that in 5 years. I did not have a stomach. I did not produce gastric acid. I was eating a little amount of rice or a banana every couple of days because I knew I needed fuel. But there was this overwhelming sense of, man, I'll start chewing on your arms, I'm starving. Well, the conference organised, you know, the guy presiding over the whole thing, he'd given birth to a whole herd of cows. He was a mess. It was kind of like, God's turned up and ruined my whole conference, and now we're way behind with all the elected speakers, and it's 6 o'clock and the cooks have said supper's ready, so we might as well go into the fellowship hall and have supper. And poor guy was really out of sorts with God, you know, because everything, this nice, tidy, organised conference is being messed up. But we all move into the dining hall. I'm at the front of the crowd, you understand. It's like, food, I can eat, I'm starving. Everybody's buzzing, everybody's talking, you know, they're all excited about what just transpired in the sanctuary of this church. And I get there with my tray and I look down and it's like, oh no. For the main meal this night was greasy southern fried chicken. We're in the deep south of America now. It's just like gallons of grease. You know, you could see these little critters doing breaststroking. You know, it was just revolting. And my brain is going, don't you touch that. 6 months earlier, I'd had a final outing with my 2 sons. And they wanted to go to KFC. And I'd eaten a bit of KFC and my body could not handle the greasiness, so they had put me in hospital for a week. So brain is saying, don't you touch that. Stomach's going, food, full, now, don't you touch that. Eat, full, don't you touch that. And this battle's going on between brain and stomach. And as I'm kind of, what am I going to do? I hear I hear a familiar voice. Initially, my initial thought was, I'm about to pass out. Because what happened was the sound of 600 people all talking at once in this big old hall, and the clatter of the kitchen hands bringing out the dishes, and the sound began to fade back. And it was like I was in a cocoon, a bubble. It was just the most bizarre sensation. Sound faded back for a moment, and as I say, I initially thought, oh my goodness, I'm about to pass out. And I hear a voice that resonated within my very essence of being. A voice that said, I am the same. Yesterday, today, forever. I do not change. I am the God who heals. You're healed. Eat. And then was this mandate. It was kind of like, now freely you've received, freely you are to give. You pray for sick people. Just see. I will confirm the signs, wonders and miracles. And it was with that just resonating within my heart, my head, my soul, my spirit, this thing that just said, I am the same yesterday, today, forever. I do not change. You are healed. Eat, and freely you received. Freely you should pray for the sick. And just see, I'll confirm with signs, wonders and miracles. I began to pile up my plate with this chicken, and my support person travelled with me. He grips my arm. He goes, Craig, stop. You know what happened last time you ate greasy food? And I shook his arm off by me. No. I think I've heard God's voice. I think I've heard the voice of God. And I'm piling up my plate with this old chicken, and I start stuffing this into my mouth, and 600 pairs of eyes were watching, and I ate this massive meal of greasy chicken, and I realized all pain had stopped, all nausea had stopped, all spasms had stopped, that I felt absolutely fine. In fact, I convinced those who were sitting with me and my travel companion. We went down to McDonald's. I had a Big Mac meal. It was amazing. Everything was fine. Whoa! I get back to New Zealand, and I began to put weight on, and the colour had come back, and I could eat everything and anything. And I went and saw my specialist, and I said, listen, something's happened. I can eat. I'm fine. No pain, no nausea. And he's going, well, yeah, you do look a bit better when I last saw you. He said, we will need to do some tests, you understand. I think we need to do a gastroscopy, and he said, I think we should do a colonoscopy. Okay, as long as you don't use the same tube for both. Well, you don't know, you're asleep. How do you know? They don't pull it out, wipe it on their arm, shove it down your throat. You're asleep. Oh, it's horrible. They did every manner of tests, CT scans, gastroscopies, colonoscopies, and they discovered a complete, normal, full and functioning stomach. Everything had been surgically removed, has miraculously been put back. It was just extraordinary. What do you do when you experience such an astonishing miracle and you think you've heard God say, now freely you've received, freely you to give, pray for the sick? Confirm the signs, wonders and miracles. So I sat down with those who have spiritual authority over us, and their wisdom was, don't do anything. A gift or ministry will make way for itself. If this is God, it'll happen. And so for 6 months we just kind of, waited on God and fasted and prayed. Well, Jenny fasted. I had a whole new stomach. I needed to practice on this, so you understand. So for about 6 months, we just kind of waited to see where God was leading us, and then I just happened to be back in the United States in Atlanta, Georgia, on business, and I was staying with Bob and Debbie Gass. They actually write the Word for Today daily devotional that UCB send out, and I was actually staying with them, and a Methodist minister who was there when the miracle happened to me tracks me down, finds out that I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and says, listen, I'm just 2 hours away in Augusta, Georgia. You need to come and tell my little Methodist church what I saw happen 6 months ago. And so I agreed, and 2 weeks later I drove all the way to Augusta, Georgia, and